Yes, hello, hi. Welcome back to EDUHUNT IIT and NEET Foundation classes. This is Sukumar, your chemistry mentor. Nana, with the previous video, I discussed what is a chemical reaction and what is the chemical equation, and we discussed the difference between them. Okay, I explained you what is chemical reaction and what is chemical equation, what is the exact difference between them. And I explained you what is the purpose of writing chemical equation. Do you remember that? What is the purpose of writing chemical equation? That is also I discussed, and how to balance a chemical equation. And what is the purpose of balancing chemical equation? That also I discussed. Do you remember? I explained to maintain the law of conservation of mass. Do you remember that or not? In real chemical reaction, law of conservation of mass is maintained. But chemical equation is the way of representing the chemical reaction. So, in the chemical reaction, law of conservation of mass maintained means you have to maintain that law of conservation of mass in chemical equation also, right? How can you do that? By conserving the atoms, right? So you need to conserve the atoms of a particular element in reactant side and product side. So I discussed what is a chemical equation, what is chemical reaction, and what is balanced chemical equation, and what is the purpose of balancing. Now, in this particular video, I'll explain what is the information conveyed by. Our topic now is information. Okay, Nana? We are going to discuss what is the actual information conveyed by a balanced equation. Information conveyed by a balanced chemical equation. What is this? What this means, sir? Yes. Simply, there is a chemical reaction. There is a chemical reaction actually happened in front of you. You know the reactants, what are the reactants participated, and you know what is the product formed, that is the reaction, and you are representing that reaction on paper, and then that is called equation. And you balanced also. You balanced that equation. Now that equation become balanced chemical equation. So, on paper, in front of you, there is a balanced chemical equation. Now the question arises, what information that balanced chemical equation tells you? Simply, this balanced chemical equation is telling something about the chemical reaction. Yes or no? Yes. So, we are going to discuss what is the information conveyed by balanced chemical equation. See, this equation gives information, or the information conveyed by this balanced equation can be classified into two types. One is qualitative information. Balanced chemical equation of any reaction gives information about the reaction, right? But that information is I am classifying into two types. Qualitative information. Qualitative info I am writing. And quantitative information. Two types of information. Okay? Yes, sir. What is the difference between qualitative info and quantitative info? I'll explain simply. See, there is a reaction happening. Okay? If I ask you what reactant participated and what product formed, that is qualitative information. What is formed means qualitative information. How much formed means quantitative information. Simple. See, there is a reaction happen. What are the reactants? I asked. Sir, you said, sir, one reactant is nitrogen, sir. Another reactant is hydrogen, sir. Okay, nitrogen, hydrogen are the reactants. Yes, sir. And what is the product you got? So you said, sir, nitrogen reacted with ammonia, sir. Sorry, nitrogen reacted with hydrogen, sir, to give ammonia, sir. Ammonia is the product, sir. You said the name or you said the formula. Okay, ammonia is the product and nitrogen and hydrogen are the reactants. Yes. So all these information is qualitative information. You are telling me which chemical is entered and which chemical is formed. Which one is participated and which one is produced. Which chemicals are the reactants and which chemicals are the products. So that is qualitative information. You can tell me the formula of the reactants or products formed, or you can tell me the names of the reactants participated or the products formed. But the point is, simply you are telling me which chemicals are participating as reactants and which chemical compounds are produced as products. So that is qualitative information, right? Example. So this gives two kinds of information. Simply, which chemicals entered a chemical reaction. That means that is about reactants. Okay, and which chemicals I'm using shortcut name. Chem means what I mean by chemical or chemical species, you can say. That can be atom or ion or molecule or whatever. Which chemical species are formed? That means I'm asking what are the products. Okay. So if you have answer for these two questions, that means you are having which information? Qualitative information. That means which reactants participated and which chemicals formed as products. Okay, let me tell you an example. And you are having a reaction, balanced equation, nitrogen treated with hydrogen. The same example as I discussed. Nitrogen, when reacted with hydrogen, it gives ammonia. See, by looking at the formulas, these are the formulas of the chemical species. By looking at the formulas, I got to know this is nitrogen, this is hydrogen, that is ammonia. Now, what information I have? In this particular reaction, two chemical species participated, that is nitrogen and hydrogen participated and ammonia formed. Which chemicals entered, which chemical formed, which one is participating and which one is forming. So that is what qualitative info. So but that qualitative information you can tell to other students. You can say about this information about, you can discuss with your friends about the qualitative info, like by the names also. Nitrogen when reacted with hydrogen, it gives ammonia. When you say something like this, what info you are giving to others? You are giving qualitative information. That means you are telling that there is nitrogen element and hydrogen element, they are entering into the reaction, they are reacting with each other to give ammonia as a product. Okay, but it is not completely balanced. Or first of all, it is not balanced. Let me balance this. Because our heading is the information conveyed by balanced chemical equation. Whether it is balanced or not, by simply mentioning the chemical species, it is giving qualitative information. Okay? But to have some quantitative information about the same reaction, you need to balance this. How to balance this? I already explained how to balance a chemical reaction in the previous video. Okay, because you need what you remember that or not? To balance chemical equation, you need to maintain the number of atoms of a particular element same in either side of the arrow mark. See, this is the arrow mark. On either side of the arrow mark, the number of atoms of a particular element should be same. See, you will go with any one element. See, there is nitrogen, 2 nitrogen atoms here, but you can see there is only 1 nitrogen atom. So you need to make both sides 2 nitrogen atom. For that, never change the subscript. See, there is a symbol like this, and this is subscript 2, superscript 3. See, now on chemicals you never find this superscript, but the point is subscript. Subscript telling you there is 2 atoms of A. There is A atom plus A atom. 2 atoms combined in this way to become A2. Just like O atom, oxygen atom, combined with oxygen atom to give O2 molecule. So this subscript is telling you 2 nitrogen atoms in this molecule, 2 hydrogen atoms in this molecule. Here 3 hydrogen atoms and 1 nitrogen atom. So be careful, this 3 is telling about only hydrogen atoms, not for nitrogen. Okay, if you see carefully, NH3, the subscript of nitrogen is 1 and the subscript of hydrogen is 3. So in this entire molecule, 1 nitrogen atom, 3 hydrogen atoms are present. Okay. Now think carefully. There is 2 nitrogen atoms. You need to show 3. So you need to show 2 nitrogen atoms on that side. So you have to change or apply or add or remove only coefficients to do this. 2. There is I'm making 2 here. So 2 nitrogen. Okay, so never balance like maintaining like changing 2 here. So 2 nitrogen, 2 nitrogen. No. When you write like this, N2H3, it will become entirely new compound. This is not ammonia. It is a different compound. Whether it is existing in real life or not, you prepared that on paper. So never do that. Okay. So to show 2 nitrogens, use change only coefficient. So 2 nitrogens, I am going to write 2 here. But in that process, there is 2 nitrogen and 2 3s are 6 hydrogen. How, sir? How to count, sir? Yes. Listen carefully. When there is no subscript means there is 1 subscript. 1 as the subscript. 3 as the subscript for hydrogens. That means in this one molecule, I told you already, 1 nitrogen, 3 hydrogen atoms. But if you put a coefficient in front of this, like this, 2. Now how to count the nitrogen atoms? 2 into 1. 2 nitrogen atoms, 2 nitrogen atoms, plus 2 into 3. 3 hydrogen atoms. That means in this entire one molecule, or there is 2 molecules, right? In these 2 molecules, there is 2 nitrogen atoms, 2 3s are 6 hydrogen atoms. So like this. So 2 nitrogen atoms, 2 nitrogen, 2 3s are 6 hydrogen atoms. But that 6 hydrogen atoms has to be shown this side. So I'll write 3 here. So 3 2s are 6 hydrogen, 2 3s are 6 hydrogen, like that. So the point is, now this balanced chemical equation is giving qualitative info, but now it is completely balanced. Now it can give quantitative information also. I am writing on this side, N2 plus 3H2 gives rise to 2NH3. Okay, how this balanced equation convey quantitative information? Quantitative means, okay, we know nitrogen and hydrogen are entered the reaction to give ammonia. But what is the relative amount of reactant to the top products? That means how much of nitrogen, see, think carefully, how much of nitrogen reacts with how much of hydrogen to give how much of ammonia, that amount. So I told you already, what is formed or what is there. If I ask you about what is formed or what is entered, what is present actually, that is qualitative info. Then okay, we know what is entered or what is formed, but how much entered, how much formed, that how much, that okay, that amount, question about amount, that is called quantitative information. Okay, that how much amount you can express in moles or volume, what volume of nitrogen. See, I can discuss in several ways. See, how many molecules of nitrogen reacts with how many molecules of hydrogen to give how many molecules of ammonia. Okay, if you give that information, that is quantitative. Or actually, you know, there is a concept called mole concept. In the next chapter we are going to discuss. Mole is the unit for amount. To express the amount of any substance, mole. Okay, then how many moles of this substance, nitrogen, how many moles of nitrogen combined with how many moles of hydrogen to give how many moles of ammonia, like that. Or what volume, these are gases now. If these are gases volume can be measured for gases, right? Yes. How much volume of nitrogen combined with how much volume of hydrogen to give how much volume of, like this. This balanced equation also gives information about the quantitative information or quantitative. It is having a quantitative significance also, because the coefficients will help you to do that. Here there is coefficient 1, coefficient 3, coefficient 2. What this coefficient tell you about? See, if you take one molecule of nitrogen, if you take one molecule of nitrogen, then it requires 3 molecules of hydrogen, or it reacts. Okay, 1 molecule of nitrogen reacts with 3 molecules of hydrogen to give. If you supply like that, that means if you take these 2 in 1:3 ratio, then definitely you will get 2 molecules of ammonia. Okay, now I am going little bit further. Okay, we are going to discuss mole concept in the next chapters, in the upcoming chapters, right? But let us say, for suppose, mole is the unit for amount. For suppose, if I take nitrogen as 1 mole, okay, 1 mole is the amount, okay, 1 mole, then definitely hydrogen will be 3 moles. Hydrogen how much required? 3 moles. 1 mole nitrogen requires 3 mole hydrogen to give ammonia. You guess 2 mole, like that. 2 moles. Okay, 2 moles. For suppose, similarly, okay, there is a relationship between mole and mass also. We are going to discuss in mole concept chapter. Okay, 1 mole mass of nitrogen is 28 grams. Okay, how, sir? We are going to discuss in the first chapter. Okay, next chapter. And 3 mole hydrogen mass will be 3 into 2 grams, 6 grams. And 2 mole ammonia, 2 into 17, 34 grams. Sir, how do you know, sir? Yes, I am going to explain in the mole concept. But right now, for now, I am telling you, there is a relationship between mole and amount. Mole and mass. So from looking at the mole, I just simply converted into mass. I'll train you how to do that in that chapter, mole concept chapter. For now, you just make a note like there is a relationship between mole and mass. By just looking at the mole, you can derive mass. I derived. Okay, so by this what happened? This balanced equation is conveying information about the mass, the relative mass of the 2 substances entered and the mass of the mass of the product formed also. And similarly, there is a relationship between mole and volume also. Mole and volume also there is a relationship. There is a law also called Gay-Lussac's law of combining volumes. Okay, according to that law, 1 volume, if I said 1 mole means V liter. If 1 mole is V liter, then 3 mole 3V, 2 mole 2V, 2V liters. Suppose there is some temperature, some pressure. Okay, some experimental temperature, experimental pressure. At that pressure, imagine 1 mole gas is 1 liter volume. 1 mole gas occupied 1 liter volume. Imagine like that. 1 mole gas occupied 1 liter volume. If 1 mole 1 liter, then 3 mole 3 liter. No matter whether it is nitrogen or hydrogen or any other gas. There is a concept called ideal gas equation. I'll explain all these things in the mole concept chapter. Okay. 1 mole 1 liter means 3 mole 3 liter. Similarly, 2 mole 2 liter. Okay, imagine. No, sir. 1 mole volume is 30 ml, sir. 1 mole gas volume 30 ml, sir. You imagine, okay. If 1 mole 30 ml, 3 mole, 3 into 30. 2 mole, 2 into 30. Okay. So like this, a balanced equation is giving both qualitative and quantitative information, right? Qualitative means what is there and quantitative means how much is there. Okay, I hope you understand this. We are going to meet in the next concept.